Hello friends, welcome to the Global Pulse. There is a ray of hope of peace at least in the Middle East this time. Let us all hope this move to be true and all the involved parties trust one another. Expectancy for a ceasefire has once again increased in the conflict between Israel and Hamas that has been ongoing for the past 9 months in Gaza. Hamas has also accepted the American proposal following Israel. The ceasefire will occur in 3 phases under this proposal. The mediators have urged both parties to apply the proposal's terms without delay and without conditions. Israel had already accepted it, but Hamas was not in agreement. In the first phase of this proposal, the release of prisoners including women, elderly, and wounded, exchange of Palestinian detainees, return of Israeli army from populated areas, return of Palestinian homes in the entire enclave including the north, and large-scale humanitarian assistance are included in the full ceasefire. In the second phase, in return for the release of prisoners in Gaza, enmity will be completely ended and there will be a full withdrawal of the Israeli army from Gaza. In the third phase, a multi-year reconstruction plan will begin for Gaza. The bodies of prisoners in Gaza Strip will be handed over to Israel. Hamas had demanded in the past that before signing any agreement, Israel commit to a permanent ceasefire first, but Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had clearly stated that they will not call back their army from Gaza without eliminating Hamas on any conditions. The Israeli army launched a military campaign over there in the occupied West Bank once again. At least 7 Palestinians were killed in this military campaign conducted in the Jenin refugee camp, while many others were injured. The Israeli army claims that all those killed were Hamas fighters. However, the Palestinian Ministry of Health claims that all those killed were civilians. The Israeli army stated that its troops surrounded a building there, where Hamas terrorists were hiding. To eliminate the terrorists, Israeli planes also dropped bombs on their homes. In this Israeli attack, several surrounding houses also suffered damage. The Israeli army has been conducting military operations in the West Bank along with Gaza since Hamas's attack on October 7 last year. In these military operations, more than 500 Palestinians residing in the West Bank have been killed so far, while the lives of 12 Israeli soldiers have also been lost. In Jerusalem, Israel, thousands of people took to the streets demanding a ceasefire in Gaza. The Israeli government has demanded negotiations with Hamas for the release of prisoners. Along with this, protesters also opposed the Israeli military campaign in Gaza. Relatives of those detained fear that if Israel continues its military campaign in Gaza, the conflict will prolong and more prisoners will be killed in such a situation. In this demonstration, people have also demanded the resignation of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his government. Protesters claim that Prime Minister Netanyahu and his government are completely incapable of freeing the prisoners and running the country. In such a situation, Netanyahu should immediately resign and hold general elections in the country. One protester, Karen Plitman, said, "We are protesting against our government. We do not trust a prime minister who is corrupt." This protest comes at a time when hopes are alive for the release of prisoners and a ceasefire in Gaza between Israel and Hamas. Last year, on October 7, Hamas launched an attack on Israel and captured more than 250 people as prisoners. Hamas has released approximately half of the prisoners so far, while 41 prisoners have died. However, around 116 Israeli citizens are still held captive. Their relatives are participating in these protests. Due to Israel's military operations and the blockade of Gaza, millions of Palestinians are on the brink of starvation. In response, several international agencies, including the United States and UAE, are continuously dropping food packets into Gaza from the sky. In recent days, American planes have dropped food packets in Khan Yunis and Rafah. According to news agency Reuters, Israel has isolated Gaza from the rest of the world during this conflict. Due to Israeli military operations, Gaza has been completely devastated. 80% of their populations of 2.3 million people have been left homeless, while more than 1 million Palestinians are facing starvation. The remaining people are barely managing to gather 2 meals a day. The United Nations warns that if there is no immediate ceasefire in Gaza and the Rafah crossing with Egypt is not reopened, there will be a catastrophic disaster in Gaza. Thank you very much for watching. Always stay tuned for the latest news and updates. Goodbye and see you soon.